I'm going to sign in as a host. Coming into the table layout screen, you'll notice in the bottom right corner, as a host now, I have this icon that shows up as Reservations. Now selecting on this brings me up with the table management screen, which a host or a hostess would use in terms of seating people at tables and taking reservations and so on. Just taking a look at what's available to us. First of all, in the top left corner, we have reservation details. Now this window here will show up information pertaining to the member as well as their reservation, what they've chosen for a table, their dining section, and so on like that. Coming down below that, we have tables list. Now within tables list, this will basically give a list of all the tables. And within this, it can show tables that are available, tables that are being bussed, which are in the process of being cleared, tables that have had their check printed, in which case then they will become available soon. And also locked tables, which means tables that have been locked so that you can't seat people there because we've got a reservation coming for that table, amongst other things. Over on the right-hand side, we have reservation list. And within here, this will give a list of all the reservations that are coming in for today. And along with this as well, a list of all the people who are waiting for a table, who have just walked in and are waiting for a table. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take on the role as a host, and we'll say that we've just logged into the system and it's the beginning of our shift. So upon doing this, first of all, the establishment is not very busy right now. And let's say a couple has walked in and they wish to be seated at a table. So the first thing I'm going to choose here is this line that says walk in. What it now presents is a list of all the tables that are available on the system right now within the tables list. And you'll see within here, I've got all the different table numbers. Along with this, there's seating capacity as well. And this defaults to a number of two customers. But you can seat any number of customers, any number of tables, and so on like this. And just kind of scrolling down, you'll see that there's a list of all the tables that match up. Here's a list of tables that are close matches, but not quite. So in this case, I've got tables for 4 and 6. And they really don't quite match up. So those coded in green are exact matches. Those coded in kind of like a mustard color, those are close matches. And then also, if we come down further, we've got other tables that show up in gray, which are also not a very good match at all. Now, coming back up to the top, here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to seat these people at table number 1, which is poolside. So to do that, I select on table 1, poolside, and within this I choose seat. And now that entry has been cleared and those people have been seated at table number 1. Now let's say another couple has walked in and they want to be seated as well. So I'll select on walk in again. And I'm presented with the same list, but you'll notice that table number 1 is no longer there. The reason being is that someone's been seated there, so it's not an available table anymore. And so on this, I'm going to choose table 2 for this other couple, and I'm going to seat them at table number 2. Now when I come out to the table layout screen, you'll notice now that tables 1 and 2 are flashing white, and this means that someone has been seated at those tables but they have not been tended to yet. And this will be relayed across to all other users on the point of sale system as well. So if you're any user who gets on the system and you take a look and you see tables 1 and 2 are flashing, you know that they haven't been tended to yet. Now what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to choose table 1, and I'll say there's 2 people there, and I'll just open up and I'll order something. Now, once the table has been tended to and once a check has been opened for it, then you'll notice now the table is back to its regular status, and it's either in red if it's one of your tables, yellow if it's someone else's, and so on. I'm going to leave table 2 just flashing and leave it unattended for a moment. Now coming back to reservations, let's say now the place is starting to get a little bit busy, and so I've got people lining up at the door who are going to be waiting to be seated. So what I'm going to do in this case then is I'm going to go down to the bottom where it says add to waiting list. Now in doing this, I can now go about putting in the name of the people who are going to be waiting for a table. So we'll say, for example, it's the Jones party. Or if they happen to be a member, I can swipe their member card or pull them from the database with the last name find or something. Now within this, I can also say, well, is there a specific dining section you would like to be in, such as smoking, non-smoking, or in this case, Bayside, Terrace, or whatever the case. Also, within any one of these, if I select on a dining section, it will bring up a list of all of the specific tables that are allocated to that dining section. And within there, I can have them set aside for any specific table if there's one specifically that they want to be seated for. Or within any dining section, I can choose any, which means any table in that dining section. In this case, I'm going to keep it very generic and just any table, any dining section. Over on the right hand side, I also have number of customers. And I can have anywhere from 1 to 25 customers, or if there's more than that, I can select on Other to bring up a keypad to enter a number greater than 25. In this case, I'm going to say it's for a party of 4. So now you'll notice here I've got the Jones party who is now waiting for a table. It's flagged in red, just like walk-in, and it's for a table of 4, any dining section. Now over on the right hand side, I also have minutes. And what's going to happen is that as time passes, this is going to accumulate. And then we'll take a look at how that builds up. And so that way you have a good idea in terms of who's been waiting the longest. And from there, you can seat people accordingly. Now along with this, let's say for example, a reservation called up. So I answer the phone, I take a reservation. I come down to the bottom that says Add Reservation. And so within this, I'm now presented with the reservation screen. As you can see, I can take a reservation for any month, any day of the month, and even any year as well. So along with this, I'm just going to leave it on the current day right now. And we'll say, for example, I want it for 4 o'clock p.m. We'll say it's for a party of 2. And we'll allocate it to maybe an hour. Now the allocation, the duration is very important here because if I'm going to reserve a table, I want to make sure that that reservation holds right through till the end of their visit. Otherwise, I could end up accidentally having another reservation on that same table, but it's a little too soon. So we don't want that. By extending the duration, that will ensure that that table does not show up when placing another reservation. Now in this, I'm going to now select Next. Now in choosing Next, I can now pick whatever table I want. So let's say, for example, I'm going to pick table number 6. Okay, so it's in poolside, table for 2, and I'm going to reserve that table. Again, you can choose any dining section, any table in any dining section. And so now I'm presented with the member screen. And so from here, I can do a card swipe, I can do a telephone find, or in this case, I'll just do a last name find, and I'll select on the member. And so here I have the member's information up on the screen and use member. So now that member has been allocated to this reservation. Now at this point I can select on OK and take that reservation, or I can select on Next, and there's an additional screen that shows up that allows you to stipulate some special occasion for this and also add in any special comments as well. Now with that done, I now have the reservation showing up in green on my list. And so anything in green will be a reservation, anything in red is basically walk-in traffic. Now in this case, you'll notice that the Jones party has now been waiting 3 minutes. In this case, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to seat them. So I'll select on Jones. Now in this, I'm now presented with a list of all the available tables. Again, I can select on busing. This will show me all the tables that are being bussed, that are currently in the check has been printed, they've paid for it, and now the table just needs to be cleared. Printed, the check has been printed, but the table has not been cleared. They have not closed off the check yet. So this gives you an idea in terms of what tables will be coming available soon. In this case, I'm going to choose this particular one. It's a table of 4, so here's my list of all the tables of 4. It just matches up automatically. In this case, I'm going to choose table 4 in poolside. I'll just keep everything in the one dining section, and I will seat the Jones party. Now, coming out to the table layout screen, let's take a look at what we've got now. I have just seated the Jones party at table number 11, and it's flashing white. You notice that table 2 is flashing in yellow with an exclamation mark. The reason being is that they were seated much earlier on, and they have now been waiting quite a long time to be served. And so this is an additional kind of warning message to all the staff that someone better get there really quick and look after these customers. So we'll take care of that right now. And there I have the table taken care of. Now coming back to my layout here, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this reservation for Scott Dunlop is now here. Okay, so selecting on that, you'll notice I now get member information showing up on the screen. I have a picture of the individual, their name, contact, their phone number, and also what the reservation is for. Table number 6, poolside, for example. And you'll notice that table 6 poolside is highlighted automatically. This table is the one that was reserved for that, and fortunately right now it's available as well. Now I want to make sure that no other host or hostesses accidentally seat someone at that table because he's going to be coming in any minute. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select on Lock Table. Now in locking table, this little lock comes up, and this will ensure now that other hosts and hostesses do not seat anyone there because I'm pulling it aside for that reservation. Now, let's say, for example, Mr. Dunlop has now arrived. So I'm going to select on that, and I'm going to say arrived. Now, in doing this, I have a new icon that shows up next to his name, indicating here that this member is now in the house, has arrived, and is waiting for his table. Now what I can do at this point is I can come down to table number 6, and within this, I have, first of all, I can view layout, so I can take a look at where table 6 is within the layout. And I can say, is this table acceptable to you? Rather than walk them over and then they find out, no, it's not. So you can actually show them a graphic representation of this. And if it is as acceptable to the member, then I can unlock table. Now in doing that, that table is now available, and I can seat Mr. Dunlop at table number 6. And now going into the front end, here's all my different tables, and there's the member seated at table number 6. And opening it up, the member is already allocated to that table as well.